Hey everybody, this is one step better from T.F.P. Cichlids, and today we're going to talk about T.F.P's Iguana. Now, about a year ago, I started posting videos of T.F.P's Iguana. He was fairly small, didn't have too much color, but then all of a sudden, boom, he just blew up. And the special thing about him is that he started having a green pigmentation to him that a lot of dove eyes don't necessarily have. You have a lot of blue, you have a lot of turquoise in there, but T.F.P's Iguana had green in him. And so I had to name him T.F.P's Iguana because he had the green, and also because of the back, his dorsal fin, he had the little choppy dorsal fin from some genetic deformations, whatever the case may be. But because of that, I named him T.F.P's Iguana. Now, I have a lot that I could say about him. I want to tell y'all today on this episode that we're going to talk about where T.F.P's Iguana came from, how he was bred, who his parents were, his grandparents were. And the next video we'll talk about who I bred him to, and then the following videos are going to be who I plan to breed him to and what I plan for him to be in my breeding program. So the story starts, I would say, maybe about 8 years ago. I had a fish named T.F.P's Black History. Y'all have seen her. I've had her in my banner on my Facebook channel. And T.F.P's Black History is a very special female in my breeding program, in my pedigrees, because she's really the mother, the grandmother, the great-grandmother, the great-great-grandmother, and the great-great-great-grandmother to a lot of the fish that I have on my fish farm today. Specifically, T.F.P's Black History is a female Managuensis, and she wasn't a very special Managuensis. I actually purchased her from a local pet store, and I did notice that she had really good shape. I bought her specifically to breed to a guy named T.F.P's Jade that I had, and my purpose at that time was to start a Managuensis Escondido bloodline and to center it around the Escondido blood. But as fate turned out, I wasn't able to really breed them like that because, as a lot of y'all know, when you breed Escondidos or Carpintis, you get a lot of infertility. And I unfortunately wasn't able to breed the wonderful, beautiful males that I had from that Jade Black History bloodline. And so that was actually heartbreaking. Matter of fact, I was able to breed some. I was able to breed T.F.P's Bolt later on down the road, but he would only fertilize about 2 or 3 eggs every time. As a matter of fact, sometimes he wouldn't even fertilize any eggs. And it took for me to mature him to 8 years in order to actually start getting him to fertilize eggs. So that was just such a heartbreak at that time that I had to change my method up and change my breeding program. And in that time, I had a fish just sitting in the sidelines that really didn't have any plans for him. I bought a male Motaguensis, a Rio Blanco Motaguensis from Cichlids of the Americas. I also bought a female Red Tiger Motaguensis from Cichlid of the Americas. And I just kind of had him on the side, didn't really know too much what I wanted to do with him. But I said, hey, you know, I got Jade, these Jade Black History babies. And remember, Jade is the Escondido male, and Black History is the female Managuensis. And I said, hey, I got these Jade Black History babies, and they're growing out. The males that I have trying to breed aren't breeding for nothing. I tried to breed T.F.P's Cowboy, which was a son, I would say the best looking male. You be the judge. What do you think about in the picture here? T.F.P's Cowboy. I tried to breed him to a female. In those days, they called them titanium flower horns, but today you would know them as Thai silks flower horns. And she laid eggs for him so many times, and he, you know, tried to fertilize them so many times, and nothing. And that was such a heartbreak at that time. I was really excited about that bloodline. I said, you know, this is going to be money. Managuensis, Escondido, bred that to Thai silk. I just knew I was doing something special and new. Nothing. He wasn't fertile for anything. None of his brothers were fertile. I got to take that back. His brothers were fertile. He had a brother named Jade Jr., who, again, like I said, it took me about 5 years of maturing them in order to be able to get some fry. As a matter of fact, I bred Jade Jr. to TFP's Blue Dot, and I lost some fry. I'm telling you, I've had so much heartbreak trying to develop these hybrids over the past years. But I bred Jade Jr. to TFP's Blue Dot, who, again, if y'all might not know, if you do know, if you looked over my pedigrees, is TFP's Mega Man's mother. And to no avail. He would fertilize maybe 4 eggs at a time. And eventually, one time I was trying to breed them, and TFP's Blue Dot just started getting real rough with him. She would hit him on the side, take a couple of scales here and there, take a couple of scales here and there. I thought, oh, it's nothing, Well, eventually she took so many scales off of him that he got an infection and he croaked. He died. And it was just a sad story. So basically, I had a lot of heartache out of that J Black History bloodline because I couldn't get the males to produce like I wanted them to. And so going back to, in that time, I wasn't able to get the males to produce. So I specifically was talking about TFP's Cowboy. I couldn't get TFP's Cowboy to produce with the female that I called Storm at the time. And she would not, they just weren't having no babies. And so that was so disappointing. So I said, hey, I had Black History in another tank, just kind of, I had her in a cage, and I had her trying to breed with, I really didn't have her trying to breed with anything. So I said, let me throw this Motoguensis in there and, whatever, just put him in there and let's see what happens. Well, lo and behold, TFP's Black History lays eggs for him, and TFP's Tigger, that's right, Tigger the Red Tiger Motoguensis. Tigger like the tiger, Tigger the tiger from Winnie the Pooh. That's where I got the name from. And he fertilized the eggs through the cage. And I said, you know what? Let's raise these babies up. Let's see what they look like. I wasn't all excited, because I thought Motoguensis, Managuensis, they're kind of similar, body shape, color. I said, they're not going to look all that good. So the babies grew out. They didn't look amazing, but I had a 50% Motoguensis, 50% Managuensis hybrid. And so I got a lot of fry growing out, and I was able to select the ones that I thought looked the best. Among the best, I had the best looking male. Now we're talking about the TFP's Tigger, the Motoguensis, and TFP's Black History hybrid, that cross. This is a 50% Motoguensis, 50% Managuensis hybrid. So from the TFP's Tigger Black History breeding, I produced TFP's Beautiful, which was the most beautiful male in my opinion. He had the color, the shine, his tail was fabulous. He just looked really stunning to me. He had the length. I like, that's what I wanted. I wanted the length. And he was just beautiful. And so I called him TFP's Beautiful. Then next up I had TFP's ONYX, who was also beautiful, but I liked him. He had more of a box shape. He wasn't so long. He had a more square-like shape, had a beautiful tail, had a really good personality. I was able to breed him. As y'all know, TFP's ONYX is Mega Man's father, Mega Man 2's grandfather, right? And then I had TFP's, who else did I have in there? I had TFP's Rookie, had TFP's Missile, right? Those are among the males. Beautiful, ONYX, Rookie, and Missile. Those were the 4 males that I selected out of that whole bunch of fry that I thought were the best looking. Then I had some females. I had TFP's Buttercup, TFP's Honey Butter, and then TFP's Honey. And out of those 3 females, I was able to breed TFP's Honey to, guess who? I was able to breed her to her half brother, TFP's Bolt. But that wasn't but after 8 years of Bolt being, maturing him. And so I was able to breed and get 1 fry here, 2 fry there. And it was just hard, because sometimes, a lot of times when you get fry to die, so it was a challenge for me. And I actually learned from that process how to raise close to about 90% of the fry that I produce. And so I was able to raise some fry out. I had a male that I called Trout Stamp. And he grew up, and oh my goodness. I mean, I was just waiting for that little one guy to grow. He was the hope of the TFP's Bolt, TFP's honey butter bloodline, or honey, whatever the female name, I forgot the name. I'll show you. He was the hope of that line, and I got him to about 4 inches. He died on me. I got a disease in that tank, and the guy just croaked on me. I was just heartbroken off of that. So again, like I said, a lot of heartache with these hybrids and all that stuff. And so I go back to TFP's Tigger Black History bloodline, and I said, well, I got this female TFP's Buttercup. So what am I gonna do with this female? I said, you know what? Maybe I'll just put her in this tank with this male Dovi, and we'll see what happens. And in that time, I had a male Dovi named TFP's White Fang. He was also from a local fish store. Not necessarily anything so special, not an amazing type of Dovi. But, he had decent color. He had a nice shape. And so I had him in there with TFP's Buttercup. And so she laid eggs. This was around 2015. She laid eggs on the side of the glass, and he was divided up, and he was able to squirt underneath that little divider and fertilize 23 eggs out of that little group. And I said, you know what? Hey, I got something here. We'll see, But again, I wasn't so excited because, you had the Dovi, you had the Motaguenses, the Managuenses. They're all very similar in their shape. Their colors are somewhat different. The Dovis have a lot more blue in them. The female Dovis tend to look sucky, don't really have a lot of color. Tend to be a little yellowish, drabby color. And I said, you know what? Well, I'll just raise them up and we'll see what happens. And so I raised them up. They looked okay. I had one guy named TFP's Iron Mike, who I said, okay, he's all right. He's got potential. And I was actually able to breed him to TFP's Juice Box. Now, Juice Box, if you were following me on my Facebook, TFP's Juice Box is actually TFP's Mega Man's sister. Now, the first breeding that I did of TFP's Mega Man was to his sister Juice Box. And I actually did that to test his fertility, and he proved to be fertile. So I had TFP's Iron Mike, who is the 50% Dovi, 25% Motaguensis, 25% Managuensis. Pretty much TFP's Iguana's brother. And she laid eggs for him plenty of times. He hovered over them. Nothing. No fertile eggs. And more disappointment. I'm telling you, this hybrid stuff ain't that easy. There's a lot of disappointment when it comes to it. And so, well, I couldn't breed TFP's Juice Box to Iron Mike, so that's when I decided to put her with her brother TFP's Mega Man and go ahead and try to breed them. And I was able to prove Mega Man's fertility, and so then that's when I got the breeding where I have TFP's Metal Man. And so that's the story. TFP's Buttercup, who is TFP's Iguana's mother, right? Half Motaguensis, half Managuensis, right? That's the Tigger Black History breeding, bred to a male Dovi, which is TFP's White Fang. And so TFP's iguana is a 50% Dovi. His father's a Dovi. His mother is a 50% red tiger motaguensis, 50% managuensis. So therefore, he is a 50% Dovi, 25% red tiger motaguensis, 25% managuensis. And there you have it. That's TFP's iguana. Now, just to go a little bit more into this story, TFP's iguana always was the runt of the bunch. I had a couple of males, had a couple of females. They really didn't look like much. You got to remember, I only had 23 because he only fertilized 23 of them. A little bit after that, I tried to breed TFP's Buttercup, right? Iguana's mother. Remember, TFP's Buttercup is Iguana's mother. I tried to breed TFP's Buttercup to a Thai silk male that I bought out of a pet store in Delaware that was just amazing looking. He had a fat old hump. He was just absolutely gorgeous. I tried to breed them, and when I brought them into the tank together, he must have had some kind of parasite, some kind of thing that he was carrying from that pet store that I got him out of. And immediately, I mean, it was no more than 2 days, he got sick, he got her sick, and they were both dead, just like that. And so now I was stuck with only 23 offspring that were off of TFP's White Fang, bred to TFP's Buttercup. And that was a disappointment because I had a breeding female off of Tigger Black History, that Tigger Black History bloodline, or the breeding. And now I have one less female left. And at that time, I just had TFP's Honey Butter left because another guy named TFP's Tomahawk, which is a whole nother story, killed TFP's Honey. So I just had Honey Butter left with TFP's Bolt, and I was trying to get them to breed. But anyway, I'm telling y'all, this hybrid stuff isn't all that. It's not all that easy. I'm trying to tell you. It's hard work, is what I'm saying, and it takes dedication, patience, and persistence. And so now I'm out of TFP's Buttercup. She's dead, and now I have these fry grown out. I tell you, TFP's Iron Mike was the fastest growing male, and so I was all excited. I said, oh, this guy's going to be the champion of this, particular bloodline. And what did he do? Did he fertilize any of the eggs? No. And none of them, it was a disaster. It was just so disappointing because they didn't produce the way I wanted them to produce as I had envisioned that they would produce, but that's just how it is when you do hybrid sometimes. So now I got this little runt, this little small guy. He didn't have a name. He was just, over there in one of his little tanks and just growing out. I'd feed him, a pellet here, a pellet there. I said, this guy, he's not coloring up. He's not doing anything. I said, I'm not the type of guy, like I told y'all before, I'm not the type of guy to just kill my fish. The only time my fish will die on me is if they get disease, get sick, if they jump out the tank, if they jump over their dividers and get killed by another fish, which happens every now and then. What else? That's about it, I think. And other than that, I'm not the type of guy to just go killing my fish. I don't do that. I'm not that kind of breeder. That's just not me, right? Now one day I'll get a wolffish, maybe I'll get a piranha, something I could feed the fish that I don't want to breed. But in general, I like to keep all of my offspring because, like I'm telling you, you don't know who's going to be fertile. You don't know who's going to be able to produce. And that is why, now that's probably the big question for a lot of y'all who have watched me post all my fish on Facebook for the past year. I've been doing this for over 10 years with this particular bloodline, you know, my TFP's Mega Man bloodline. And I couldn't put no fish out. I couldn't sell no fish or give anybody fish, because what if I give you the fish that's fertile and I end up with the one that's not fertile? You know, I mean, I'm going to be messed up. So that's one of the main reasons why I haven't given out fish. And that's why I don't really put out fish like that. And so now, where was I? So talking about this guy, this little runt, 50% doveye, 25% motoguensis, 25% managuensis. He's just sitting there, you know, I'm not feeding him to grow. I'm just like, you know, this guy, I'm not going to kill him. Maybe one day he'll get a disease. Maybe he'll die. Maybe, you know, something will happen. I'll just keep feeding him. Maybe he'll turn into something. Who knows? Well, you know, the guy is just growing little by little. And one day I just say, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to throw him in his own tank. And I'm going to let him, you know, I'm going to see if I can breed him to one of Mega Man's sisters. I had another one of Mega Man's sisters. And this was about a year ago. And I said, let me try it with one of Mega Man's sisters. And let's see if he'll produce. Well, he kicked her butt so bad. Man, I was so mad. I mean, he almost killed her. He beat her up so bad, she had like a nub on her tail. Immediately took her out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? You know, I only have, right at this moment, I have only 3 fish that are siblings to Mega Man. I have his brother, T.F.P. Survivor, the blue looking like Managuensis. I have his sister, T.F.P.'s Eyeshadow, that I bred with T.F.P.'s Metal Man. And I have T.F.P.'s, she has no name, really. She's just Mega Man's sister. And that's about all I have left. That's the only 3 I have left from that breeding. That was a breeding that I did in 2014. So those are, you know, very precious fish to me. And for this little male runt that was nothing, you know, he's something. He's a creation, you know, God, you know, a God creation, right? But for him to be like just coming out of nowhere, I didn't really have plans for this guy to just be killing one of my precious females. I said, nah, I can't have that. I got mad at him, and I said, I just took him out of the tank. I had him put him in a bigger tank, and I threw him in a smaller tank. And then he was acting all shy and scared and everything. But you know what? Then my little female healed back up, thank God. And, you know, Mega Man's sister healed back up. And he just started coloring up. And then I said, man, I might have something here, you know. He looks kind of nice. And then I divided him off with a Frederick Stolly. And his color came out. I mean, male Frederick Stolly and male, you know, hybrid, you know, T.F.P's Iguana. At that point, he wasn't Iguana yet. He just going back and forth. And I said, man, this guy is starting to really look like something, you know. You know, a week passed by, a month. This guy colored up. He just came into his color all of a sudden. And come to find out, this guy has green. I don't know any hybrids that really have green in them. There's very few cichlids, you know, that have green, other than green terrors. And green terrors have really like a lot of turquoise, you know, and they're South American. So I said, you know what? This guy's really looking like something. And just over time, you know, and it was like, man, this guy's looking good. And so that's what happened. That is the story of how T.F.P's Iguana came about. So stay tuned. Next week, I'm going to tell you who I bred him to. So far, I've bred him to 2 females. It's taken a long time to breed them because, you know, that's the nature of hybridizing. And but I have him with another female, a 3rd female, and I got a couple of females lined up for him because T.F.P's Iguana is kind of like one of the champions here at T.F.P. Cichlids. And he came out of nowhere, and he earned his place as one of the great TFP cichlids. So make sure you stay tuned next week. Make sure you share this video with your friends. Share them with other groups, you know. Share them with people in Japan, Thailand, Australia, South America. Share everywhere. All over Europe, Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, everywhere, India. So why don't y'all share? Share the video, like it, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Now also make sure that you go visit me on Facebook, because you can write comments here about the videos that you watch and I'll answer you quickly. But on Facebook, you can message me. You know, we can kind of have a little private chat, go back and forth, you know. I've already done it with a few people. And so just, you know, just friend me, you know, and we can talk a little bit, talk about hybrids, talk about the fish, maybe get some ideas. So anyhow, thank you for tuning in to TFP Cichlids, and make sure that you visit me next week for the part 2 of the TFP's Iguana series. Peace.